Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Brighton podcast. My name is Blessings. Today I am joined by GSPN's finest gentlemen. We've got Richard and Joe. And today we're going to be talking about the United game coming up this weekend. It's going to be a preview of the match. So I've got 3 segments for you. So we're going to look back at previous fixtures. We're also then going to talk about how the game's going to go, where can we exploit this team, and then finally we'll talk a little bit about team selections, any injury news, and some things we need to look forward to. But with that being said, Rich, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, mate. I'm really looking forward to Saturday. I think what's funny about Brighton being in the Premier League is when I was a young kid and Brighton were in like League One and League Two, you always dreamed that they'd one day be in the top division, facing the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, all of those big clubs. And now not only do we face them, we regularly beat them. And I fancy our chances on Saturday as well.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. And Joe, we haven't heard Brighton being top of the league yet in this podcast. So I'm going to leave that to you.
Just to let you know, guys, for all the viewers, everyone listening at home, Brighton are top of the league.
Top of the league.
And it feels absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And listen, going into the game on the weekend, I mean, what Rich said is so true. We are going into, I'm super, super confident for us going into this weekend. I wasn't convinced by their performance against Fulham. And I can confirm I was very convinced with our performance against Everton. Obviously, it's a different caliber of opponent, but, you know, I think Fulham couldn't punish them. We definitely can. So, yeah, let's see how it goes.
We will indeed see how it goes. But before we do that, previous games, Brighton versus United, some of them have been quite entertaining from my memory. Rich, can you just give us a bit of flavour of what to expect?
Yeah, well, they've all been entertaining apart from the last one. I was actually commentating for Live Score on that game. I think it was the final game of the season. We lost 2-0, but, you know, we knew De Zerbi had been on the beach for 2 months at that point anyway. And it was a Diego Dalot goal out of nowhere. He just crept up front and put the ball in the net, and then Højlund got a second. But you know what? I don't think we should really count that out of the last 5 games. I think we should just count the 4 before, because we've won all of them. If you remember, we won 3-1 at Old Trafford last September, and that's when we had our flying wingers in the side. Mitoma, Adingra was there. We could see similar at the weekend, of course. Minte as well. We'll talk about team selection a little later. Season before, we beat them home and away. Late McAllister penalty and a 1-0 home win. And then we won again at Old Trafford, 2-1 in August, right at the start of Ten Hag's reign. I think that was one of the first games for Lisandro Martinez, when everyone was saying, oh, how can you have such a small centre-back? And do you know who scored 2 goals? I think we should all just take a moment for the legendary Pascal Gross, who absolutely loved battering Manchester United. Of course, there was the one moment where we lost to them that season. That was in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. I was there. It was an incredible atmosphere. The second time we've been at Wembley in a few years in the FA Cup semi-final. And in all honesty, we were the better side that day. We just lacked the strength in depth, which we now have. So I fancy us again. Another reason why I fancy us again for this. And then the season before that, I think we were still under Potter, and we absolutely battered them 4-0 at home. Ronaldo was absolutely befuddled. Goals from, listen to this list of former Brighton legends, albeit the second one people won't agree with. Caicedo, or maybe not the first one either. Cucurella, Gross, and Trossard. All I would say is you've got one absolute legend there, and then 3 players who've earned us a lot of money. But were very good for us at the time, and on that day, of course, 4-0. And up until 2022, we'd only ever won 3 times against them. That one time, of course, was what kept us in the Premier League in our first season in the top flight, where Gross scored the goal where they had to go to the goal line review, and it proved that it was over the line, and it kept us in the league, and everyone went delirious at the Amex. We'd only won 3 times before 2022, but 4 wins out of our last 5 in the league. I think we're going to make it 5 out of 6.
Yeah, we love to hear that. And this week, myself and Joe caught up with Niall from GSPN United. Joe, can you just give us some thoughts of what you think their fan base feels about their team going into this one?
Your defense is terrified. Minter's on fire. They are absolutely scared to the bone of Minte, and they are scared of our attacking threat. I think that the overall consensus was that I feel like they still think that they can beat us just because they're Manchester United. They need to realise that this is not Manchester United with Scholes, Giggs, all of these players. It's not that anymore. There's a massive reason. All of what Rich has just said, there's a massive reason as to why we've done so well against them in recent times. It's because for the last probably 2 seasons, they've been really easy to play through. They've been so disjointed, and De Zerbi's tactics, even Potter's tactics, they're tactics that are like basically a crux for a team that are easy to play through, because De Zerbi wanted to just play through the middle the whole time, and when it's easy to do that, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster for them. But going back to what Niall was saying, he does seem terrified of Minte, and the back four that they're probably going to field, I imagine, with Harry Maguire limping off and etc., is pretty new look. So again, I think that with the players that we have, we can really, really punish them. It's just if the build-up is good. So yeah, they're terrified. I'm confident. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, he definitely didn't seem sure about their defense. So it'll be an interesting watch. We're going to take a quick break, and you're going to hear from our partners at Zencastr.
Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching new audiences who are engaged with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. If so, let me tell you about a platform that we use here at Global Sports Podcast Network, Zencastr. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, you knows, and 22 other speech patterns, Zencastr makes it super, super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Are you ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Brighton. In this segment, we're going to talk about how we're going to exploit Manchester United at the weekend, and also where perhaps what areas do we need to be careful? What areas could we be a little bit leaky? So I'm going to start off with you, Rich. So based on that, based on our game at the weekend against Everton, where do you think our strengths lie?
Well, it's definitely the wings, isn't it? And we spoke about Minte. I tell you what I found really funny, playing Fantasy Premier League. I gave it a break last season, and I'm back this year, and I've got Dunk in my side, I've got João Pedro on my side, I've got Minte on my side. And they've got the little yellow mark next to Minte saying that he might not be available. He's like 75% available. That boy is raring to go. He's been raring to go since half-time at Goodison Park. He didn't want to come off. So anyone who thinks he's not raring to go, yeah, your Man United fans should be worried. And especially because they've got no left back. Shaw's still out. Malacia's still out. They played Mazraoui at left back last week. He's more of a right-sided player. So I think they're going to be in a lot of danger, a lot of difficulty. I also mentioned Diego Dalot, who I actually think is a very good right back. I think he's a very good player. I mentioned he scored against us last season going forward. But he's going to have a very busy day. He's going to have a very busy lunchtime against Karuma Toma, who looks to be back to his best following his pretty much whole season out last year. And he's now back. He was our player of the match on Saturday, and those two wingers are going to cause them all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, that is a good point. And I think the whole back four of United weren't really tested on Friday. So this is a good opportunity for them as well to see what they're really about. In that conversation with Niall, Joe, he spoke about their defence sort of dropping off. Is that something we can sort of exploit, and what spaces can we get into?
So when we, to be honest, I've been giving them a little bit too much airtime. But when we did speak to the guys at Everton, I actually systematically broke down how we would score against them. And if you want to go back to the tape, you can see that I basically called the goal exactly how it was going to happen. And just for everyone, for a bit of clarity, I'm going to do it again. So,
Mystic Joe, let's go.
It's not even Mystic Joe. I've said before, I'm Black Guardiola. I know how to do these things, mate. So, if you watch the game on Friday, a lot of the chances that they conceded, and I'm not talking about chances where there was actually a shot on goal. That's mainly down to Fulham, to be honest. But I'm talking about where you've seen that Manchester United were probably the most open. And it came from winning the ball high up, or even if that was just a misplaced pass, or if it was being pressed and winning the ball. If we can get players around that little box that they have, that they're probably going to deploy again because Højlund's still out, and to be honest, they don't really have a press if they don't use Fernandes and Mount. If Wiffer, or if it's Milner or Baliba or whoever can win the ball in those areas, they will not be able to deal with the counter attack. I can see it. I can literally. So picture Welbeck's goal on Saturday. I feel like that's going to be where we can exploit them the most. Winning the ball up. It doesn't even have to be in the final third, but winning the ball halfway line. Where you're talking about the defense dropping back. If they've dropped back, but the midfield has stayed, there's a absolute ocean of space that's there to exploit. And again, if you can get those wingers isolated with the fullbacks, then it's a recipe for disaster for them and an absolute recipe for success for us. So watch for that, guys.
I think you're right, Joe, with where we can exploit them with that. My only feeling is that being at home and actually being a better side in possession, I think we're going to have a lot more of the ball against United than we necessarily did against Everton. And I actually think we're going to be the ones pressing in their half, and they're kind of going to go for a little bit of a low block. My only worry against them is when I think of how we played West Ham early last season, where we absolutely controlled the game. We had so much possession. We played so much in their half. And then West Ham just exploited us on the counter-attack. Mikel Antonio and Jarrod Bowen. And that's my only worry, is we might have too much of the ball, so we can't hit them on the break or hit them with our wingers, that they might defend. And then they do still have a couple of players who can hit us on the counter, such as Rashford, such as Amex, such as Garnacho. That's my only slight concern. But I hope you're right.
Oh, no, I will be right, 100%. 100%.
Mystic Joe, hopefully strikes again.
I agree, though. If we were talking about where we could struggle, 100% on the counter is, I think, where we could. But when we spoke with Niall, they were sort of saying about how they might actually try and go for it. If that happens, the prediction that I made that he didn't agree with could easily happen, 100%. So yeah, I think we could cook.
And to hear Joe's prediction, you might have to go back to the crossover podcast and listen to that one. It's a very interesting prediction.
It's not out yet, mate.
Well, it will be.
It will be.
Oh yeah, by the time this one comes out, yeah. That's true. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, it's lagging. A player that sort of stands out for United, and I think in terms of quality going forward, the only man that sort of looks to score is most of the time is Bruno Fernandes. So do you think, Rich, that there'll be perhaps a plan for him, maybe get some more legs in midfield just to usher him and sort him out?
Yeah, I'm not so sure, because They are still without Hoyland, which I think is a big loss for them. They've done pretty well by playing these like false nines. I don't know enough about Joshua Zirkzee, in all honesty. He obviously came on. He got his goal against Fulham. You've got to think that maybe he's pushing for a start. Does he go right up top for them for now, allowing Fernandes to be a bit more deeper, playing in where he prefers to play, in more of a 10? I think that's something we would have to be concerned about. However, I think Weaver looks great, and I think Weaver could put him in his pocket.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break again, and we'll be back shortly with talking about the squad selection and any team news.
This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Brighton podcast. In this part, we're going to talk a little bit about squad selection. When I was thinking about this earlier, I thought we talked a little bit this whole week, looking back to the Everton game, about the ball being lost in midfield a little bit and then Gilmour coming on just to steady the ship. Do you think, Joe, that Gilmour could start?
Do you know what? I'm going to go out. Well, it's not really on the limb here. I think that you won't see Gilmour until after the window's shut. Mainly just because you don't really want a player playing who doesn't know if he's going to be out the door or not. And it seems that things have accelerated with Napoli in the recent sort of days. The only issue is that he's a great person to come off the bench in certain situations. He's also will offer you so much more ball retention and a bit more control than obviously Milner will. But I just need to back my boy. I really want to be seeing Belieber in there, to be honest. And do you know what? I don't know if Estupinian's going to play because he's back in training, but I don't know if he's had enough time. But if he does play, then I think you might see Hinchelwood in midfield. I'm not 100% sure, though, to be honest with you. But Billy Gilmour's definitely an option, but I just don't think you'll see him until the window shuts. We've got 10 days left. Is it 10 days, about that, before it shuts? So, yeah, I don't think you will necessarily be seeing him. Maybe ever again. Who knows?
Yeah, and on Jack Hinchelwood as well. I guess this game, I mean, United's probably a bigger magnitude of game compared to Everton. Do you think he will continue sort of experiment coming in as an inverted fullback off the left-hand side, Rich, or do you think it will change?
I think if Estupinian is fit, he'll start, and I think that's probably the only change that Herzl is necessarily looking at. I think everything else is pretty much going to stay the same. I suspect Milner will continue to be in the side. I like Hinchelwood, but I think Garnacho or Ahmad are a higher quality of a player than necessarily Jack Harrison. And Jack Harrison had a very good game on Saturday in spells and caused Hinchelwood some troubles. Albeit I think we're going to be pushing further up the field, as I mentioned earlier in the show. So I think Hinchelwood can cope because I think he's a good player, but I think Estupinian's going to start.
Yeah, I think with him, it's really important to sort of manage his minutes. You don't want to stitch him up and he gets sort of caught out by, Garnacho is absolutely rapid. And I think he would start because Ahmad came off quite early. It will be interesting.
Can I just put my 2 pence in quickly on that Jack Hinchelwood? So obviously we're talking about Jack Harrison having a good game on the weekend. I would take that as a massive worry. Jack Harrison is, if you were to line up 20 starting right wingers, and probably even in our case, probably 3 of our right wingers are better than Jack Harrison. And this might sound harsh, but if you're struggling against Jack Harrison, who's probably in the bottom tier of wingers in this league, I think, because Jack Harrison having a good game is also like, it's synonymous with Jack Hinchelwood letting him have a good game. So Ahmad, if it is Ahmad, if it is Garnacho, both of them are pretty dangerous, and I would be quite worried, especially if he gets isolated and he doesn't have Dunk to help him, or even if Wiffer tries to come out there, or if Milner goes out there. I don't know. I don't really think that. I think you need to protect him as much as possible if he's going to be in that role, and I just don't know. I have a bit of a worry about him playing out there personally.
And obviously, we've got some new faces joining the squad. Rich, do you think we'll see any of them feature?
From the performance at the weekend, I don't see anyone coming in to start. I've got to say, I watched a little sizzle reel earlier today of Gruder, and I liked what I saw a lot. Oh, he looks very handy. I know we were talking about the other day. I've not been quite sure if he'll be mainly on the right wing or if he'll play in one of those like number 10 positions. From the clips I saw, he was very much on the right wing with a left foot, and can go left or right and just absolutely turn those fullbacks inside out. So I suspect we'll see a little 20-minute cameo of him on Saturday, of course, depending on what the scoreline is. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily think he'll start. Reuter's a good one. Again, I think probably on the bench, and we'll probably get 20, maybe 30 minutes, maybe on the hour for him, depending what the likes of Welbeck and João Pedro do. But I can't believe we're 22 minutes into this podcast, and we've not really spoken much about Welbs. And I think that's a travesty for this podcast. So I just want to say, Danny Welbeck scored 29 goals between 2008 and 2015 for Manchester United. He scored 27 for the Albion. What are the odds he gets 2 on Saturday? Maybe even 3. Beats his United record with a hat-trick. All right, I'm dreaming a bit. But he's 15 to 2 to score against United. And if he plays anything like he did against Everton, might be worth a punt.
I mean, all I want to see is a Danny Welbeck goal and a Danny Welbeck knee slide, and that is my Saturday sorted.
if he scores 3, does he not become Brighton's Premier League all-time top goal scorer? Or am I making that up? He's close, isn't he?
I'd have to see. Is it still? I would assume it's gross. Is it gross? Now?
It's got to be gross. Yeah. I think he would go close. I'm not gonna lie. Between 2008 and 2015, only scoring that many goals is not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good, mate.
But he brings a lot more to his game.
No, to be honest, I mean, like you said, Bless, I mean, if he lives up to his full potential, then he'll be all right in the next in 5 years' time, he'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? We could have a real player on our hands. No, I absolutely love him, mate. I adore him, and this is essentially it's a Daily Brighton. It could be called the Daily Welbeck. It is a tribute to the man, the myth, the legend. And I think that it's a testament to his ability and how he played on the weekend, because he's going to be keeping our record signing out of the team, and probably for the foreseeable if he continues his form. So,
all right, I've got the numbers here. Yeah. So Welbeck for Premier League goals for Brighton is 24 goals.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from 5th to 1st. I'll tell you the number of goals. You give me a guess on who you think it is. Okay. In 5th place, 18 Premier League goals.
In the Premier League, though.
In the Premier League. I'll give you a clue. He's no longer at the club, still plays in the Premier League.
Neil Maupay.
Good guess, but incorrect. I mentioned his name earlier. He scored in the 4-0 win.
Trossard.
It is Trossard with 18 goals. Then it's Danny Welbeck in 4th with 24. Then there's 2 players tied on 26.
Glenn Murray.
Glenn Murray's one of them. The other...
Neil Maupay.
Neil Maupay.
Yeah.
And number 1 with 30
Jesus
goals.
Christ. Pascal the GOAT.
Pascal Gross.
Okay, so he needs to score, what, 7?
7 on Saturday would be nice.
Yeah, that'll do, mate.
I'll do on Saturday.
Easy work, mate.
Right. Before we go, I've got to do this. I'm going to copy Rich from a previous pod. Here comes the money. money.
Dollar.
Tony Bloom comes out.
Yeah, Tony Bloom comes out.
Tony Bloom is at it again because I'm hearing another bid for Matt O'Reilly to break our club record transfer fee again. Rich, have you seen this done in 2 seasons?
I've never seen us spend this kind of money. It's unreal. It's incredible.
He's a player as well. He's a player, Matt O'Reilly.
We once signed Ali Reza Yahankbash for 17 million, and he wasn't very good. With
he scored a bicycle kick, bro.
Pardon?
He scored a bicycle kick. That was good.
That was unreal. But apart from that, the guy wasn't very good for us. So I take big money spending still with a pinch of salt until they put the blue and white on and do it at the Amex.
And finally, Joe, can you give us a 1-minute segment of what we can expect if we do get Matt O'Reilly?
So, to be honest, he's a player who I love how you guys just assume that I know everything about each player that we sign, and to be honest, he wouldn't actually be wrong. But he's a player. He's a bit of an all-rounder, really. He can box crash. He scored some pretty important goals for Celtic as well. He was on loan at. He used to batter me on Football Manager. I want to say Mönchengladbach, potentially. I think
that sounds right. Yeah.
No, Freiburg, the team that have the crow as their crest. I'm pretty sure. He was on loan there. So he has. To be fair, he actually's got pretty good top flight experience if you count Celtic as well. And it's an exciting signing, and he offers something that we don't really have that all-rounder in the team, to be honest with you. He's physical, he's quite tall, he can get up and down, and to be honest, it's just Celtic don't want to lose him, and I don't know, it's just obviously the Premier League to the SPL is a massive jump, but he does have Bundesliga experience, which again is also a massive jump. So it's going to be a very good sign.
So when you mean Freiburg, you mean MK Dons, right?
Oh, maybe this is actually maybe it was just on FM that he was at Freiburg.
I think you're getting your Football Manager confused.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be honest. I don't know anything about him. I'm just looking at his Wikipedia right now. I'm trying to learn myself. He's a Danish international. According to Wikipedia, he's had 2 caps. Started at Fulham, then went to MK Dons, then been at Celtic.
And then
93 appearances, 25 goals. I have no idea what I know even less than you, but I enjoyed the Football Manager.
He again, just like Rutter, he was killing my team on.
Well, it's very exciting times to be a Brighton fan at the moment. There's lots to look forward to, and also lots to look forward to on Monday, where you can listen to us talk everything about Saturday's fixture against Manchester United. But for now, this is the end, fellas. I've been Blessed Chabamba. I've been joined by Rich and Joe. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.